Hello? Am I alive? Hello? How's everyone doing today? There we go. Hello, 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 everybody. Y'all doing all right today? Oh, immediately. Thank you so much, Isaac Smith. I think one should think differently is get a real job besides YouTubing. I mean, I work at Pizza Hut part time. Okay. I'm doing just fine. How are you all doing today? What happened to videos? You mean you're asking what happened to my moveset videos? I can't work on them at the moment because I have a injured hand that I'm waiting to heal. As soon as this heals, I can get back to the moveset videos. But in relation to that, so I talked a little bit about this yesterday during the live stream I did then. Something I would like to do is I would like to go over a lot of my old, if not all of them, my old past movesets, and kind of just talk about what I think I would do differently with them. Like, we're gonna rewatch them together, and and because I don't have the greatest memory, I don't exactly remember what I did with a lot of these. That's why I have a lot of like notes written down for them and such. So this will be a good chance for me to recap myself and kind of, with semi-fresh eyes, look at these old movesets and just think to myself, do I still think that's a good idea, or would I do something differently? Will I give Waluigi a gun? No. Unless the gun is pointed at his head, no. How close am I to redoing Raiden's thumbnail? Not for a long while, and even then, I still gotta wait for this to heal. Alrighty then, let's see. This is a good enough. There's almost 100 of you that stopped by for this, so I guess are we gonna go ahead and get this? Shall we go ahead and get this started then? Because I think we should. All right. So first off, preemptive note: apologies for my older commentary, where when I was kind of just getting started out and I was very clearly not that confident and and reading off from a script. Like, obviously, thankfully, my confidence in this stuff did get better as time progressed, but in the early days, there's a clear difference. So apologies for that ahead of time. Am I going chronologically? I figured I may as well, because it also shows the progression of how each moveset kind of went from there on. But alright, let's get this started.
So Super Smash Bros. Ultimate is right around the corner, and there are a lot of characters that we've seen in action, as well as a few more we can possibly expect.
Alright, let's see. Possibly expect. We got Incineroar. We got, technically, this one. Let's see. You did get in. Assist, Spirit, me costume, Spirit, me costume, assist. You did get in. Sick. Also, thank you so much, gamer. Been a while since I've seen one of these streams. Hope your hand heals. Thank you so much. I appreciate that.
That, of course, means that there are a lot more characters who will not be playable in Smash. And a good amount of those, that a small majority...
All four of those characters, yeah, ended up being assists or Pokeballs.
So I thought I'd make this video series to create possible movesets for those characters who will no doubt be relegated to the sidelines. With that said, let's just get right into this with the first character that I want to start with.
Also, the reason why I used Katie in this intro is just because Katie is the character that I always pick to play as in the older Yokai Watch games. Like with 1 and 2 specifically, I always play as Katie. I like her more than Nate, so that's why I used her in the intro here.
Come on out, my
Now, actually, if I recall correctly, something I did for this first episode, I think only this episode, that I'm not sure. I mean, I know why.
Getting started, let's go over who Jibanyan is for those who may be...
Yeah, you can already hear it. Where I did this thing where, because I was afraid of, like, the music copyright, I slowed the music down in hopes that would avoid it. Now, looking back, I really didn't need to do that. And if anything, if I was going to do that at all, I should have made it faster to help kind of the upbeatness. Like, because slowing it down, all that really did was probably just make things, just make the video feel slower overall, and probably made it less appealing, just to like, as a viewing pleasure. I mean, it probably matched better with my currently slow voice at the time, but whatever.
I'm aware of this character. Jibanyan is the main mascot character for the Japanese series Yokai Watch, made by Level 5. Yokai Watch is highly popular in Japan, where the series is mainly rooted.
I mean, I guess it kind of still is.
Surpassing sales of Pokemon.
Is it still popular? I think it kind of fell off a little bit.
Only in Japan. Yokai Watch really does just okay everywhere else, but is gaining a better following outside of Japan. And we are seeing its games being localized one by one, if ever so dreadfully slow. But I digress. Jibanyan himself is, of course, the most popular character from the series. So even if you've never heard or played a Yokai Watch, you more than likely have seen this kitty cat floating here and there. As for Jibanyan being in Smash, I have a few ideas on how exactly he would function as a playable character.
I know, guys. I really hope that we get Yokai 4 in the States eventually. We'll see.
Pokemon, even though they really are two completely differently built games. He'd be small and
still feel that way,
but makes up for that with incredible speed. Jibanyan is a part of the Charming Tribe, which are a tribe of yokai that specialize all in speed. As such, Jibanyan himself would be a very fast character, but with attacks that don't necessarily hit very hard, and he'd be very easy to send flying due to his small size. He'd only have 2 jumps, and he would be able to crawl. And with all that said, let's jump right into his attacks.
So of course, this was before, like, I started, like, showing, like, where I'd probably throw the weights of the characters and so it's gonna be weird watching these older videos as well, and like not seeing some of like the things that I incorporate now, like the weight charts, or like having like in the top left corner where I show the like what we're currently on and such. And something else as well that I found interesting. I obviously like I tend to try to give backstories to each character. Whether or not that's really important to the moveset, I guess it's just whatever. But like I just enjoy doing it myself to kind of give people a little bit of history on each character, so they can get a better understanding of them, as well as be a little more appreciative of the character, even if they're not that familiar with them. But I found it interesting how because I realized this when I got to episode 100 and did Shadow Side Jibanyan, because like I realized I didn't actually talk about Jibanyan at all. I mostly talked about the actual the history of the series itself. So,
Jibanyan's jabs, I feel, would be a simple 1-2-3 hit jab. The first 2 hits would be a single scratch from each arm one at a time, which is actually what Jibanyan does for his basic physical attack in games. The third hit, however, I see would end the jab with a quick tail whip, where he turns around and smacks his opponents with his tails, which would also cause small fire.
Also, these older drawings. Oh dear, this was back when I used Flash, and back then I didn't care as much about the actual quality of the drawings, because I wanted it to kind of give off like a doodle. Like it's still kind of what I'm doing now, but obviously I went ahead and improved. I improved on them way more like over time. Well, like I wanted to like kind of give off the impression of like doodles that you would like draw in your math class. So like, oof, like they clearly did not age that well. As for the actual attack itself, I think I could see it staying. Something alternatively, I could also see this being the jab, or like, because I feel like the scratch should remain.
Attack in games.
Like, because that is just Jibanyan's basic attack, so it being his jab, I think, is the most appropriate. Though, whether it having an ending jabber hit, or even if it were to be like a 2-hit, like rapid jab, or a spammable jab kind of deal, either one of that, either that would be fine.
I see would end the jab with a quick tail whip, where he turns around and smacks his opponents with his tails, which would also cause small fire damage, since the tips of his tails are on fire after all.
Actually, I do remember there was one guy on the Jibanyan episode who actually got really mad at me for including attacks where Jibanyan attacked with his tails. And he's like, we never see him do that in the games. And I'm just sitting here thinking, but he has them. And there are plenty of characters in Smash who use attacks that we don't actually see in games that are innovated, so I don't know.
Kind of like Tails' basic jab attacks from Sonic Battle. His dash attack would be, of course, just like Pikachu's. A quick lunge...
I don't know why I had to include that, of course, there.
But... tackle with his head being the most damaging point. Really, his head and his tails are going to end up being his most used forms of attack, which makes sense considering how small his arms and legs are.
Fair enough. And as for that dash attack, yeah, I could still see that being a thing. Like, if Jibanyan... Especially since Jibanyan, when he runs, he always runs with, like, his head forward, so I can see, like, him doing a lunging tackle still being his thing.
This is a decent launching move, but I can't see it actually KOing until their damage percent is pretty high. His side tilt attack would be a quick 360 spin, with his swinging tails being used to strike. It would have a decent enough range, and would send them a moderate distance depending on the opponent's damage.
I probably did not convey this that well with this drawing. I think I see what it was I was doing. Like, it's literally just like, he spins and swings his tails laterally forward. Which, kind of the same as the jab, though not really, because the jab, he kind of whips his tails forward, where here he swings them forward. It's probably still fine as a side tilt.
His down tilt would be
And I missed the up tilt, that's right. This was I think to this day, the only episode, and of course it was the first, where I forgot to include an attack. And if I recall correctly, the attack that I had for his up tilt was like this backward to forward headbutt, like over headbutt. Would I still do that? It's still it's a safe kind of move to use for him, if not a little generic.
Quick bite attack that can only really hit low and cause quick flinches. Something that can be spammed until the opponent is out of range.
I'd probably change this. Because here's kind of fun little fact about cats. Cats do bite, but generally you don't really see cats bite unless they're declawed. Like, because cats will generally always, resort to using their claws first. And Jibanyan does have his claws. We see him use scratch attacks. So, I think in this scenario, I probably would change it to maybe like he reaches forward for a claw attack. I guess it depends.
Now going into his smash attacks, for his forward smash, I could see this being his Paws of Fury.
This I'd change, because I did make his Paws of Fury the neutral special, that I remember. I'm sure I had some kind of logic back then as to making like his Paws of Fury attack. Like I made the Paws of Fury attack a few different moves. But I think because of kind of how I built future Yokai Watch characters, I would keep the Paws of Fury just his neutral special, and then replace this side smash with something different. I want to say in the Yokai Watch Blaster series, and even like Yokai Watch 4, he does get this new attack where it's like a super strong like lunging punch. It was the same kind of thing that Shadow Side Jibanyan has that I actually did make Shadow Side Jibanyan side smash. I think Jibanyan had that attack too, but I forget. And thank you so much, FNAF Guy fan.
I know most people would probably argue that the Paws of Fury should be his final smash.
Still disagree with that.
But if you...
Or no, I disagree with people saying that. I agree that it shouldn't be.
Really look at the attack in context, it's actually a rather pathetic move. So I think it would be better to relegate it to his basic attacks. The forward smash would work as a quick multi-hitting attack that ends with a much stronger punch that sends the foe flying. Think of the Mii Gunner's forward smash or Samus's up smash.
And I believe I used those as examples as like moves that like they catch you. They're multi-hitting moves that catch you when they hit if one of the attacks hit and then launch you at the end.
Jibanyan's up smash would be a quick twirling jump. This is actually reference to an attack that he gets in Yokai Watch Blasters.
This'll keep the same.
Small damage if hit from the sides, but the hardest hitting part of the attack would definitely be if hit by his head from below. His down smash would be another quick spin, but this time he'll stay on the ground, and extend his two tails in separate directions, with the hitbox of the attack obviously being on the tail.
This I'd keep the same.
His neutral air attack would have Jibanyan's body face the screen, and he would extend all of his limbs in different directions. He would spin in one 360 circle while doing this. His entire body would cause a small amount of damage, but the most damaging part of the attack would be getting hit by his tails. Think of it similar to Villager's neutral air.
Something I kind of had in the back of my mind, that some attacks that Jibanyan had that, thinking back, I'm surprised I didn't include, would be some of the exclusive ultimate like poses that he got in Yokai Watch 4. I think one was where he posed with like his hand held up, and then one where he like made like a V-shaped victory pose kind of deal. I think I would relegate some of those to certain aerials. I'd have to go back and see what all of those ultimates were to kind of get a better idea. I think this aerial is fine. If anything, I'd probably make like the high pose an up smash and up air, and then the V pose like a down air.
Attack. His forward aerial attack would be another Paws of Fury-like attack. It would lunge him forward as he constantly punches, but it would have no strong end hit.
That I'd change. To what, I don't know, but I would probably change that.
His back aerial would be a quick tail swipe, similar to Charizard's and Mewtwo's back aerials. Dang, the Pokemon comparisons just keep happening, don't they?
I wonder whose fault that is, BJ.
They would have a decent reach and launch.
I'd probably change this too. Maybe, I don't know. I'd have to think on that one.
It's pretty far. Standard for back airs. Up air would have him do a quick backflip with his tail swiping from forwards to back above him. And his down air could have him spinning in...
It's too loud in here to hear you? Oh, like in your room, or is my stream too loud? How's the volume mixing on my stream currently, guys? Like, how does my voice sound in comparison to, I guess, my voice? It's good? Okay.
Numerous circles while upright. Think of it similar to Wario's down air, but he would be upright and not upside down.
So, I guess going back to that pose that he makes for one of those ultimates, I could keep the spinning part, but instead of just doing this compressed pose, he could do that pose. That's ultimate pose.
And that about does it for Jibanyan's basic attacks. Let's quickly get his grabs out of the way.
Wait, what? Back up.
Up air would have him do a quick back.
I totally missed the up air. Never mind. Yeah, I think what I would probably want to do is, I think I'd have that one ultimate pose where he kind of, like, this be his up air, and then the V pose be his down air. That's a thing. That's a change. That's a change I think that I could make.
Spinning in numerous circles while upright. Think of it similar to Wario's down air, but he would be upright and not upside down. And that about does it for Jibanyan's basic attacks. Let's quickly get his grabs out of the way.
The video's too quiet. I can turn it up a little bit if need be.
Since Jibanyan has pathetically stubby arms,
yeah,
his grab range would also be rather pathetic.
Yeah.
When he does grab, though, his pummel could be quick bites.
Going back to the biting thing. I guess this one's fine because he's currently holding on to you. Also, look at the original grab dude. It's retro grab dude, guys. Before he became what he is now.
His forward throw could be a Paws of Fury launcher.
That'd probably change.
He would just normally throw them backwards for his back throw.
That's fine.
His up throw would be just like Pikachu's, where he headbutts them straight up.
I'd probably change that specifically to make it not like Pikachu's.
And his down throw could be a quick full body slam. Again, similar to Pikachu. Sorry.
Again, probably just change that for the sake of just not being similar to Pikachu.
Physique. It's hard not to make them have similar moves without...
It's not that hard, BJ. Just think better.
Stretching the imagination too much. With that said, though, his special moves would most certainly be unique. That's what makes him special.
Cringe.
So let's move right along to those. Jibanyan's neutral special would be, once again, a Paws of Fury.
This I keep the same.
This one. It would work like a rapid jab attack that gets weaker the longer it's used. He would immediately start his rapid fire punching as soon as you hold the button down. When you let go of the button, he would end it off with a stronger punch to send the foe flying. But it wouldn't be as strong as his smash attack. However, you can't just keep holding the button down to have him continuously punching. It lasts significantly longer than his smash attack, But if you hold the button down for too long, his attacks will slow down and get weaker. Eventually, he will just stop to catch his breath, leaving him open for punishment. The last punch of the attack will also get weaker if you wait too long to let the button go. For his
That I'd probably keep the same as it is. And that's another reason why I said probably all of the original Paws of Fury attacks that I had included, I would place with other things, because it's like this neutral special kind of fills the same exact role that those other attacks do. So it's just repetitive to have them all there. So I'd keep the Paws of Fury as a neutral special, and then change the side smash and the forward air.
side special, it would be his fire attack, Jibanyan's spirit-based attack from his games.
I keep this the same.
Every single yokai has one basic physical attack and one special attack, which is called a spirit attack in Yokai Watch, that's based on an element, like ice, wind, water, or even healing. In Jibanyan's case, it's fire. He would shoot a small fireball-like projectile that can be aimed depending on where you tilt the control stick upon using it. It would fly at an angle and disappear as soon as it makes contact with something, whether that's the stage or foe.
What do I mean by fly at an angle? Look at my notes here. Not an angle, an arc. Okay, so I used the wrong word there entirely. So my vision for this would, like, he shoots it, and then it shoots, like, in an upward arc that, like, flies, like, blah, and then it just flies forward, like, up, and then quickly comes down in an arc. So that's what... Okay, so that was just me using the wrong word entirely there. So apologies if after all these years that confused you guys. But I kept the note. Yeah, dude, I have short-term memory loss. I have to keep all of my notes. If I don't keep notes on I have so many notes on my computer to help me remember everything. If I didn't have notes, I'd be so lost.
I see being a little bit stronger than Mario's fireballs, as well as actually being able to launch the foes a little bit. As for his up special, I needed to get a little creative on this one,
I got a little too creative.
as we really don't see Jibanyan have too many means of gaining height in his games.
Yes, we do.
Not that he really needs to. I thought about just letting him be able to fly, since he is a spirit. That is something we've seen him be able to do.
Still wouldn't do that,
However,
though.
it's not very good. He moves way too slow, and the move likely will just be easy to punish. So I thought about making his up special a little more iconic of what Jibanyan is most known for. And that, of course, is the Evil Beast.
Yeah, so this up special I would just replace. Like, I liked the idea when back when I started this, but... And I like the idea behind it. I got what it was I was going for, but I would just change this entirely from what it was.
A small, cartoony-looking truck would literally appear out of nowhere.
I'm just gonna skip this part if you guys don't mind, if only because, like, again, I wouldn't even keep it.
Jibanyan's down special would be the last to control on his head.
The Jetnyan. I probably would just use the Jetnyan. I could also just, like... It probably would just require more research, like going back and, like, looking at all of Jibanyan's original kits and, like, even his newer kits. I'm sure I could find an up special for him that could replace my original truck idea that would be way better.
Have this as his up B, it would be a lot simpler, and it would actually allow him to control his trajectory, but I really like the truck idea.
I really liked it back then, clearly.
And finally, Jibanyan's down special would be the last of the basic attacks that all yokai can do in their games, and that is Inspiriting.
I keep this too.
Every yokai has a different kind of Inspirit that can be used in battle in various ways depending on the yokai. Think of Inspirits like status-affecting attacks. They can be used to cause ailments, debuff certain stats, or even be used on allies for healing or buffing. In Jibanyan's case, his yokai power causes people to stop moving in the middle of a busy street, akin to how he was hit by a truck when he was alive. This translates in-game to being able to drop the speed of a foe yokai when he inspirits them. So in Smash, it could be a close-range attack that can hit only those directly in front of him, similar to Mewtwo's Disable or Robin's Nosferatu. But it would briefly slow the foe down, similar to if you were hit by Bayonetta's Witch Time.
That part I'd change. I don't think it needs to be, like, an actual, like, time slower move. If anything, it can simply be an attack that, like, lowers their movement speed. Makes them sluggish, effectively. That I think would be enough. Like hinder their run speed, hinder their jump speed. That I think would be enough.
And that does it for Jibanyan's special attacks, as well as all of his moves as a whole. Now, before anything else, there's one more thing I thought of for Jibanyan that I think would help distinguish him as a character. You know them. Most of you might love them. It's the character's gimmick.
I stick by that every character does have a gimmick, but
Jibanyan
in this in particular case, this gimmick, I don't think we even need to go over this. In short, the gimmick is that whenever Jibanyan is hit by certain types of attacks, he changes forms between Badinyan, Thornyan, and Rabanyan. I would just get rid of this entirely. If I remade this, if I did this moveset today, this would not even be a thing. It just wouldn't. So, pardon me for going ahead and just skipping through this entire gimmick section. It's not needed. So, yeah. We can just scrap this entirely. It doesn't actually add anything to the moveset. Because I got the mentality of what I was going for. The idea of the randomness. Because Yokai Watch is a very RNG reliant game. This is a little too much, though. So, this, yeah.
Also slower, and is his soul barrage of Shogun.
Okay.
I stated earlier why I didn't want that, so instead, people can argue that his Final Smash should be his Pause of Fury, since that is his ultimate move from the games. But I stated earlier why I didn't want that, so instead, I think Jibanyan's Final Smash should be this.
Also, slight nitpick. It kind of bothers me how past BJ left these black borders on the side when I could have very easily just cropped them out. That kind of bothers me now. That's a very easy edit I don't know why I didn't fix that back then.
Shogunyan really isn't a transformation for Jibanyan. In fact, it's actually stated that Shogunyan is Jibanyan's ancestor, so it would make more sense for him just to show up to assist. He would use the Bonito Blade, and it would work exactly like he does in the games, where a barrage of slashes encompass the stage that will likely lead to KOs.
I could see this Final Smash remaining as is. This is fine, I believe. Alternatively, we could also use, what was that form's name? I use it as a costume. It's the fusion between Jibanyan and Whisper. I forgot what it was called, though. But that dude's ultimate, because that dude's ultimate also could have worked as a Final Smash. Either one, I think, are fine. The ideas are similar. Butch and Yan, thank you. Because the ideas are similar. It's literally like the yokai in question is in front of the screen, in front of the stage, and uses this ultimate towards the stage, and just does a lot of damage. So either idea I think could work.
So with the game mechanics portion of Jibanyan done, let's get into the aesthetics of the character, starting with his alternate colors. As I stated before, Jibanyan has very many different forms to take, but there are also a lot of Nekomata-based yokai as a whole. Again, easily marketable.
And unfortunately, the rate of death of cats in Japan via car accident is excruciatingly high.
So borrowing some of the other cat yokai as references can make it very easy to find 7 other colors to use for Jibanyan. It's safe to say we can skip Thornyan, Badinyan, and Rabanyan though, since they're a part of his gimmick.
I would say actually, because I would scrap the gimmick now, I could see Thornyan and Badinyan at least being alternate costumes. I can see those two being very easy alternate costumes. Probably not Rabanyan. Honestly, at this point, if I use Rabanyan, I'd probably just relegate him to his own character.
If that gimmick weren't there, then yeah, no doubt they would be used as the colors. But let's stick with 7 different ones anyway. He could be given a blue color scheme with a slightly altered face pattern like this.
Oh, these old... I could see the red seams from where I didn't properly, do the recolor. And this... Oh, this is terrible. Past BJ, what were you doing?
It's the Hovernyan, the heroic...
The actual costume itself is fine.
Who always floats. This pink coloring in reference to Momonyan,
the color itself is fine, because if I wanted to include, the Badinyan and Thornyan alternate costumes, 2 of these colors would have to get replaced, so I guess we'll see.
Strong Oni hunting yokai. He could be half white and half blue in reference to Jibanyan F.
This one I'd probably take out because what is this? Past VJ, what are you doing? This is awful. This art is awful. It's not even art, it's just recolor. You didn't even do that right. Roasting past me here. I could probably get rid of this costume for one of the alts because we already have a blue, and I think we already have another white too. So just for the sake of the color spectrum,
and even just become Jibanyan F while he's in the Jibanyan form. This coloring in reference to Butchinyan, the fusion between Jibanyan.
This I'd keep because as another potential technical alternate costume.
And Whisper. This one for a reference to Tamyan,
That's
the
fine.
American equivalent to Jibanyan. The shiny color in reference to Dianyan.
That is not shiny. What was I saying there? That is not shiny. That's actually that is gross looking. Actually, why not just make it Dianyan past BJ? Why use this ugly looking gray color? Just use the actual Dianyan color.
One of the Jewel Cat yokai. And finally, this color scheme in reference to Dracunyan.
Another blue. Like what? Yeah. Okay.
The vampire version of Jibanyan. So as you can see, Jibanyan has a lot to take from in terms of...
Yeah, he does have a lot to take from. I just didn't take enough. Like, look at this color spectrum. This is awful. Like no greens. No we needed we needed Thornyan for the green and Butchinyan for the purple. Get rid of this ugly thing at the very least. We can get rid of that one for sure. I'd replace this with just Dianyan, just straight up Dianyan. There's no reason to make a color referencing Dianyan. Dianyan's already shaped like Jibanyan. Just use Dianyan past BJ. And then either the Hovernyan or the Dracunyan one can go. In replace of the other. Because, again, the blues. We don't need two blues. Yeah, this color spectrum is awful. Oh my goodness.
Alternate colors. I thought about possible alternate costumes as well, but that might be hard since I have the transformation gimmick in place.
Yeah, another reason why the gimmick was completely unnecessary.
Again, if that weren't there, then yeah, Jibanyan can go
cringe
with costumes. But let's just keep it simple for now. So now let's get into his stage entrance, taunts, and his victory poses. His stage entrance is easy. All yokai can be summoned from the yokai watch through a portal that matches the color of their tribe.
Why do I have the image so small? I guess this was back before I really thought about the actual placement and sizing of the video files. I don't know why I kept it so small.
They also do a nifty little dance while doing so. So Jibanyan would just appear through a flash of pink light while dancing. You would also hear the end of the Charming Tribe song.
That's fine.
Of his taunts, the first can be where he pulls out a chocobar from his sash and eats it. A chocobar being effectively a chocolate bar from the yokai watch world. The second can be where he starts loafing for a second, then snaps out.
That's fine. Always gotta loaf.
Loafing is a mechanic in yokai watch.
I do still love the idea of loafing being a taunt. Because I still do that for all of my yokai movesets.
Battles where the yokai can choose not to attack for return. Lazy jerks. And his final taunt would just have him give a big hearty yawn, akin to his lazy nature.
That's fine.
And finally, to finish this off, his victory poses. And they would all just be the poses he does endgame when he wins the battle.
Loafing and yawning kind of are the same thing now that I think about it. If anything, I could probably just have him yawn first and then go into a loaf. That would make it a more proper yawn. And then give him a new third taunt. Probably something a little more energetic. Because, yeah, actually thinking about it, I don't really have him using any energetic taunts. Just mostly lazy ones. I know he's a lazy cat, but he's still Jibanyan, so I could probably see me combining the yawn and loaf taunts. He starts with a yawn and then goes into loafing for a bit before he goes back to normal. Or just loafs for as long as you want until he moves. Loafing becomes his idol, which would be funny. Until you move him. And then give him a whole new, probably more energetic taunt. And then these, I think, are fine. Because they're just his victory animations from the game itself. Yeah, these are fine. The victory animations, I think, are fine. Because these are pretty much the victory animations that he has in, all of his games. Yeah, these are okay.
And that about does it for everything I thought of for if Jibanyan were a playable character in Smash. I did this mostly because I do like Jibanyan, but I don't think he'll actually ever be in Smash, if not for a
I was right.
time. So I thought thought this would be fun to do. And I would very much like to do other characters as well who probably won't be in Smash. I have a few more in mind I would like to do first, but if you all have any requests...
Okay, yeah. So, actually, something I probably should have been doing during that whole time is... Because I actually have, like, my separate notes here on the side, or, for me to be able to, like, list off changes I'd make. So, for the jab, either keep or just make a 2-hit scratch. Headbutt was fine, side tilt was fine. For the up tilt, change down tilt. Change to a low scratch. Side smash. Replace with strong punch from blasters. I gotta even remember if he had that move. I might be mistaken, but regardless. Up smash was fine. Down smash was fine. Back air I kind of wanted to change. Forward air I kind of wanted to change. Well, I do want to change the forward air just because it's another Pause of Fury. Up air, change to Sultimate. Sultimate pose. And then same for the down air. Change to Sultimate pose. The grabs, I would change the forward throw, but I think... Oh, no, wait, I did say I wanted to change as well the other ones too, just to make them a little... That kind of helps separate Jibanyan from Pikachu a little bit. Like, I made it like this running joke throughout the entire episode, how Yokai Watch keeps getting compared to Pokemon, and then I kept making similar moves to Pikachu. It was like I wasn't helping the case at all. Yeah. Let's see. Up special, change. Down special, change to a movement speed nerf, not a time slow. Nix the gimmick entirely, so we just highlight that in a big red. Final Smash, summoning Shogunyan or Butchinyan. Depends on whichever I like more. We'll see. Let's see. For the taunt, combine Yawn with Loaf. And then the third taunt, change to something more energetic. I just noticed I don't have the colors listed under Jibanyan here. So I guess I made all those up as I was editing it? Huh. Let me just quickly add those in then. Let's see. So colors, default red. Well, I'll go over those in my own time. Alright. Alrighty, so that's what I would overall do for Jibanyan. Let's go ahead and move on to the next... Shall we go ahead? Or do you guys have any questions or anything like that regarding Jibanyan before we move on to the next character? How much time did it take for us to get through that? A little under a half hour. Actually not bad. Any skin changes to Jibanyan? Yeah, we talked about those. Like because I'd get rid of the gimmick that I initially made, I would make Thornyan and Badnyan alternate costumes. And all that such. What would be the gimmick for Jibanyan? What would be the best way to describe the character now? Probably just the I'd say just the speed, honestly. Like the speed and the because I'm getting rid of like the transformation the transformation mechanic. The actual mechanic of the character would be a little more basic because of that. Which I think because Jibanyan is like the head honcho yokai, I think is fine for him. Like his gimmick can be that he's a little more basic. Is really what it is. All right, let's go ahead and move on then. So next episode, Mimikyu.
So I'm sure you're fully aware, but there will be a lot of characters who will not be able to become a playable character for Super Smash Bros. And for the up-and-coming Smash Ultimate, there are already quite a number of characters that are deconfirmed. We'll be covering today's episode on one of those characters, so let's get right into it.
Yeah, this is where I began using So this was kind of like before I was able to I own Sun and Moon. I just didn't feel the need to replay through the game to get this footage, so I ended up borrowing it from somebody else. Thanks the credits there for that person. Something I should also address here as well. So, I made this Mimikyu moveset before I started doing the idea of Pokemon trainers. I guess the question now is, would I still keep Mimikyu by itself? Or would I put Mimikyu with a trainer? I guess that's kind of the big question. And honestly, I still don't really know. Because a part of me says to keep it alone because it is pretty special. Another part of me says it probably should go with a trainer, maybe someone like Acerola or something. I don't know, though.
I know most people are rooting for Pokemon like Decidueye or Incineroar to be in Smash, but I was a part of the minority that really wanted Mimikyu as the next Pokemon Smash rep. So, of course...
When am I going to make more Smash movesets? When my hand heals.
So when it was revealed to be a Pokeball item...
Let me skip this, actually. This is... So, fun fact, that clip came from my Spiffy Needle Geeks reaction video. I believe that is the only... So, this makes Mimikyu the only episode where I openly cuss.
First, when it was revealed to be a...
I'm going to skip that...
with this moveset.
Also, say hi to Brian, guys. That's Brian. Realm Wars.
So to give a brief synopsis on Mimikyu for those who really don't play Pokemon, or just some filthy Gen 1ers, Mimikyu was introduced to the Pokemon series come Generation 7, the generation that introduced Alola and Pokemon Sun and Moon. Its typing is Ghost and Fairy, and it's a Pokemon that was made to be a type of rival to the ever-popular Pokemon Pikachu, so to speak. We've never seen its true body. Good thing, too, since apparently you're doomed to a cruel death if you do. On top of that, it's actually very sensitive to light, which is why it wears the cloth. But to kill two birds with one stone, it decided to make its cloth in the design of a Pikachu for the sake of attention. It recognizes that Pikachu is a very popular Pokemon.
Still is.
So it tries to
Privilege.
make itself look like Pikachu in hopes that people will love it just as much as they love Pikachu. The poor little guy just wants friends is all.
I will be its friend.
This plan is a bit of a double-edged sword, as, somehow, people mistake Mimikyu for Pikachu all the time at first glance. This leads to Mimikyu...
I say somehow, but this is the same series where Team Rocket, where the same two people and Cat can, wear different disguises and nobody will ever recognize them.
having large resentment for Pikachu. Mimikyu being in Smash, I don't think will help too much for that though, since mechanically, it'll probably be very similar to Pikachu. Very quick, with a lot of hard-hitting attacks, but easy to KO.
Yeah.
It would only have 2 jumps with no additional movement mechanics. With that said, let's get right into its attacks. In terms of basic attacks, Mimikyu only has 4 prominent means of attacking, with the head part of the cloth, its whole body, the club that it uses as a tail, and its most deadly weapons, its claws. Its jabs would include its claws. It would be a quick 1-2 hit claw swipe from each claw one at a time, and they would actually have some pretty long reach. Mimikyu's claws are actually deceptively long, so any attack that includes its arms could give Mimikyu incredible range. Unfortunately for Mimikyu, its dash attack would probably end up
that jab, yeah, I'd probably keep that jab the same.
Being just like Pikachu's.
The second time I'm using this clip, first for Jibanyan, then for Mimikyu. It still makes sense for Mimikyu. That's the sad part about it. It still makes sense. I get it.
Lunging tackle where it would put its full body into the attack. but I also see this being much stronger than Pikachu, with pretty good KOing power.
Though, I guess one change I would make to this is that, because here I show it where the head of the rag is at the front of the attack, I'd probably change it where instead of doing a forward lunge, it'd be a body check lunge. So it's actual heads at the front, and the head of the rag is kind of like flopping backward a little bit. So let me make that little distinction here. Put real head at the front.
Its side tilt would be a quick long reach stab from one of its claws that can be angled. Its
That's
up
fine.
tilt can be a quick overhead clap that would do a fair amount of knockback.
Get what I was going for here, but I don't think it'd be a clap. If anything, I still like the idea, but instead of it being like a clap, I can see it being like a claw, like this, something like that, something more grabby. Something more clawy and grabby? Yeah, let me change it to that. But ditch the clap. Change it to a crossing claw attack. Crossing double claw attack. Almost grab-like. Because, again, Mimikyu's clingy. It wants to grab you. It doesn't want to let you go.
And its down tilt can be a quick low-to-the-ground claw sweep that can cause tripping.
That's fine.
For its side smash, it could use its tail club. It would grab the club and wind up as it charges, then would do a fast, long-reaching horizontal swing directly in front of it.
If I recall correctly, I had the neutral special as Wood Hammer, where it's actually the same kind of move. So I'd probably change this. I don't know what to yet, but I think the side smash I'd change.
The sweet spot being on the club, obviously. Its up smash could be a quick stab with both claws directly up, similar to Corrin's up smash.
And looking at this, I like this idea as well, but this is actually a little repetitive with the original idea that I had with the up tilt. So yeah, changing the up tilt where it's like an overhead claw slash actually helps differentiate it a little better from this, because I do still like this idea. Excuse me.
And its down smash could have it swing both arms opposite sides wildly, kind of like what it does in Pokken Tournament when it's used as an assist.
That's
For
fine.
its neutral air, it would spin in a few angled 360 circles with its claws out, similar to Zelda's neutral air.
That's
Its
fine.
forward air could be a quick forward claw slash, similar to Mewtwo's forward air, just with much longer reach. Its back air
That's
would
okay.
have it swing its tail club vertically from up to down, being capable of spiking if its sweet spots in the tip of the tail.
That's fine.
Its up air would be a quick headbutt with the cloth from back to forth, similar to Ness's up air.
I want to add to this one. Make it a front flip that starts with the headbutt, but then is followed up with a tail swing from back to front. That I think would make it a little more Mimikyu-ish.
And the down air would have it fly immediately down with its claws out to the sides, causing a spike if it connects on the sweep.
This I'd change. Mimikyu, thinking back, I don't think Mimikyu needs a falling move. Because I get the idea that I was going for with this. It's the idea that it's trying to pounce you. But Mimikyu, with the design that I gave it, I don't think Mimikyu needs a falling move. So I would just change this. I would just change this. Change to a non-falling move.
Spot, similar to Greninja's down air. This would be in reference to how it pounces foes from above during the animation of Let's Snuggle Forever. And that's what I have in mind for its basic attacks. Now for its grabs. Mimikyu's grab range would be amazing with those long arms, so I can see it having a very strong grab game going for it. For its pummel, it would just smack the foe with its Pika head.
That's fine.
The forward throw would be an overhead toss. Its back throw would be a lot more deadly, though, having it pull the foe underneath the cloth, then spitting them out from the opposite end.
That's
taking
fine.
Big damage in the small time the foe is underneath. Its up throw could have it just throwing the foe upwards.
It's okay.
And its down throw would be the scariest, as it would also have it pull the foe under, but this time beating them up for a bit before spitting them back out the front. A dumbed down version of its exclusive Z move, Let's Snuggle Forever.
That I would probably change because I actually already did make the final smash, Let's Snuggle Forever, so I'd change the down throw.
Of course, like all playable Pokemon in Smash Bros., its special attacks would be based off of the actual moves that it can learn in the Pokemon games. I can see its neutral special being the Grass-type attack, Wood Hammer. Like Dedede's Jet Hammer or Luigi's Green Missile. It would pick up its tail club and immediately begin charging it as you hold the button down. As it charges, the club would glow a purple aura and slightly grow, like how it does in the Sun and Moon anime. Then, upon releasing the B button, it would slam that club down overhead vertically directly in front of itself, with the power and range of the attack varying depending on how long you charged it for. Though very slowly, Mimikyu can still move, jump, and even turn around while charging. But the attack will automatically activate once it reaches its full charge, which takes about 5 seconds. Mimikyu will also take damage if it lands a hit on a foe with the attack, just like how the user takes recoil damage from using Wood Hammer in the Pokemon games. The damage will vary depending on how long you charged it for. For its side special...
That move... I think the move is fine. One thing I would change about it is the actual animation. I'd probably change where it doesn't grab onto the club with its tail, with its arm. It just swings it around from its back. Animation to have it swing from its back instead of picking it up with its arm.
Hit on a foe with the attack, just like how the user takes recoil damage from using Wood Hammer in the Pokemon games. The damage will vary depending on how long...
Actually, the side smash can stay the same, but usual special should change something more fitting like Shadow Claw. Gonna disagree with that, because if you look at all of the prior, like, claw attacks it uses, you can just pretend that all of those are just Shadow Claw. Like, Shadow Claw, I feel like it's just too basic of a move to make it a special. It's kind of, like, it's the same argument that I had with, Grovile's Leaf Blade. Leaf Blade by itself just feels too basic to be a special. It feels fine as being used as a part of basic attacks.
For its side special, I really need to give full credit to Realm Wars for thinking of this one.
And I'm about to break his heart.
Because it's such a good idea.
It's a good idea, but honestly, thinking back, not for Mimikyu.
I originally just thought of giving it Shadow Ball to use as a long-range projectile, but it already does have a pretty good long-range games with most of its attacks, so that seemed a little broken. So I like Brian's idea way more, and that would be making his side special the attack Thief. Thief in the Pokemon games is a weak Dark-type attack that will allow the user...
So in short, it's a move where Mimikyu, like, pokes its claw out. If it lands and your opponent is holding an item, it steals the item. I would replace this entirely. Because I like the actual idea for the move. I just don't think it's great on Mimikyu looking back. So sorry, Brian, if you're going to come back to watch this or whatever. Great idea for a move, just not on Mimikyu. So this I would change entirely, and honestly, depending on what I change it to, I'd probably potentially make Wood Hammer the side. Like, I would probably change Wood Hammer to the side special. And then it depends on whatever I choose to replace Thief with. So it's like Villager's Pocket. No, not Villager's Pocket, because when it steals the item, it begins holding on to the item. I feel like Thief works better for someone like Meow. Yeah, it works better for a Pokemon like Meowth, but not really Mimikyu. Excuse me. And then I'll make a side note on Nitro Special. Possibly change Woodhammer to side special, depending on what I replace Thief with. Alright, so we're going to go ahead and skip along.
Do the same thing. I thought about just letting it fly with Will-O-Wisp or something, since it is a ghost type, and most ghost type Pokemon are naturally able to float. But Mimikyu seems to be the exception. It can't naturally fly. And no, Ace Rolla's Mimikyu from the Sun and Moon anime doesn't count, as apparently this Mimikyu is actually dead. So that's how it's able to fly.
We were never given an explanation on this, by the way. It's just kind of just there.
Yeah, I don't get it either, and I'm not going to try to understand it. Just know that naturally, Mimikyu cannot fly. So for its up B, all I can really think of for it is to just have a form of Shadow Sneak, but it would work much differently than how Greninja's Shadow Sneak would work. The player would press up B, but then hold the B button down. Mimikyu would then slow down a bit mid-air, and a shadowy arrow-type signifier would appear that can be aimed by the controller input. Mimikyu would then quickly slide across the shadow in the direction that the shadow is pointing. Greninja's Shadow Sneak was made in a way that was reminiscent of it being a ninja, so it doesn't make sense that Mimikyu's would work in the same way, but instead in a way that makes homage to its creepy phantom-like nature.
And actually, as a matter of fact, so for those who may not have known, or may not have heard, Mimikyu actually was recently confirmed for Pokemon Unite. And the moves that it was given for Pokemon Unite are like starting moves. It has Astonish and Slash, and for its finishing moves, it can get Play Rough or Shadow Claw, and then Shadow Sneak or Trick Room. Trick Room was an interesting choice, but look. But what's funny with the Shadow Sneak one, it's actually the how Mimikyu uses Shadow Sneak in Unite is actually somewhat similar to how I have it work here, where it travels across the shadows, like to move to a new place. It works differently because how it works in Unite is that it's like a long-ranged move, and where you shoot your shadow out, and if your shadow hits an opponent, you mark them, and then if you activate the move again while that opponent is still marked, Mimikyu will teleport to that marked player. So it uses Shadow Sneak in a very similar way here. So I do think that this idea is fine. Now, but then there's Play Rough.
And finally, for Mimikyu's down B, it would be a counterattack in the form of the fairy-type move Play Rough. Mimikyu will be shaking a little bit, like it does in the Pokemon games when it uses certain moves, and if it gets hit during that animation, it would immediately begin beating up the foe that hit it with a large cartoony dust cloud of attacks, looking just like how it does in the Pokemon games.
Okay. So this one I'm a little conflicted on, because I do kind of like the idea of Mimikyu having a counter, because Mimikyu is a very spiteful Pokemon. Heck, in Pokemon Unite, a part of its gimmick, actually, with the disguise, is a revenge. It has it can put revenge counters on people. So I do think that Play Rough here is fine for Mimikyu, just for the sake of it having a revenge-type move. What's funny, Mimikyu does have Play Rough as well in Unite, but it does work differently. Mimikyu's Play Rough initially is just a dash, and then if it hits a Pokemon, then it activates the Dust Cloud, and then is able to jump off into any direction. That same idea could be used as like a brand new side special, and then make the down special something else. But I do still like the idea of Mimikyu having a counter of sorts, some kind of revenge mechanic. Again, just because Mimikyu is a spiteful little gremlin. You don't think this is suitable for Mimikyu, and why do you say that? Because I could potentially make a note here under Play Rough. Note, it could be a side special and work like it does in Unite. You mean the animation? The dust cloud animation? You don't think that would work? Why not? You don't think it's suitable for Mimikyu? Oh, I disagree. Because, even in Unite, it uses that same dust cloud animation as an attack, and when it used Play Rough in the anime, that's exactly what it did. It created this cartoony dust cloud. That's just how the move Play Rough works. Gotta go. You had fun rewatching this? Alright, have a good night, Joe Bullet.
And it would end with a strong final launching attack on the opponent. The attack would also be a type of draw-in attack, meaning that if there were any foes that are unlucky enough to be too close, or dumb enough to get too close while the dust cloud attacking is going on, they'd be caught into the attack as well. Now, with all the attacks out of the way, we need to move on to the part that helps a Smash character be known as a unique Smash character, and that would be the gimmick. This should be fairly obvious to most everyone.
Will you do a live stream on how likely these characters' movesets to be in Smash? Nah.
Everyone who knows even an inkling about Mimikyu, but its gimmick would involve its only ability that it gets in Pokemon, and that's its Disguise. In the main game, Disguise works like a built-in shield for Mimikyu that will take one hit of any and all direct damage attacking from Mimikyu, allowing it to not lose any health for one attack. But after getting hit once, the Disguise breaks, and then Mimikyu takes damage normally afterwards. It's also a once-per-battle only ability, and the Disguise can't be used afterwards until the battle ends and the next battle begins. For Smash, some innovations were needed. It would work in a similar way where Mimikyu will start with a Disguise, but it can be broken. While the Disguise is up, Mimikyu would take half damage from all attacks, and it wouldn't be launched as far compared to others. When the Disguise is broken, it's signified by the Pikachu head of the cloth drooping to the side, just like it looks in the main games when it's broken. The Disguise can be broken in one of two ways. Either Mimikyu needs to take a certain amount of damage, let's say around 50 to 60%.
50 to 60. Okay, this is why I stopped using specific numbers in my more recent videos and just kept it vague. Because that feels a little... Maybe that feels a little too high. Because if it takes half damage naturally from attacks, like while it has the Disguise up, that might be a little much.
The other means is if it's hit by a very strong attack. An attack that can do, let's say, about 18 to 22% of damage with one hit.
That's probably unneeded. We don't need that specifically.
So attacks like Ganondorf's Warlock Punch, or Ridley's ridiculous Tail Stab attack that does like 50% of damage when sweet spotted. A chunk of the roster's fully charged Smash attack should get the job done as well. While Mimikyu's Disguise is broken, it would take 1.5 times the normal amount of damage, and it would be launched a little bit farther than normal. But it would actually also gain a small amount of running speed, as if it were in a small panic since its Disguise is broken. The Disguise will be fixed each time it's KO'd. And
I'd get rid of those drawbacks, actually. So, let's see this. So I do still like the idea of the Disguise, because you can't really have Mimikyu without Disguise in some way. That's a big part of what it is. This does need some adjustments, though. So let's say, while active, Mimikyu takes reduced damage from all attacks, and the Disguise, if I can remember how to spell Disguise, has its own health when the health runs out. The Disguise breaks while the Disguise is broken. Mimikyu no longer takes half damage, but it gains a small movement speed buff. And I think just leaving it at that is fine. Because, like, the drawbacks of the disguise breaking, making it where it takes more damage and more launch and more launching, that's a little much. Like, that might actually be that might actually make the character not that great to play with. Because it's already, I imagine in general, Mimikyu's already a super frail, a super light and, like, easy to launch character to begin with. So I think just breaking the disguise is already enough. Yeah, I think that'll be fine.
And that does it for the gimmicks. Now for the big one.
And this, I don't think, needs to change.
I won't even draw this out. We all know what Mimikyu's final smash would be.
Also, question: does YouTube still block YouTube videos that use Z-move animations? Is that still a thing? Like, I'm curious about that one. Let me just skip through this. It's
QMZ, and to also know the move Play Rough, which, hey, look at that, this one does. It would be a simple timed cinematic final smash where upon activation, Mimikyu would charge straight forward, anyone hit by it will be pulled into the smash, which would play out exactly like it does in Ultra Sun Ultra Moon.
Yeah.
Now for some aesthetics for Mimikyu, starting
Which,
with...
fun fact, Let's Snuggle Forever was also made as its Unite move in Smash, or in Ultimate. In Unite! Learn words, BJ.
The alternate colors. I thought about just having Mimikyu's colors be references to other ghost or fairy type Pokemon, but that's boring. So I thought of something a little more interesting. Since Mimikyu is covering itself with a fabric, a non-natural substance, that means it can have literally anything on it. So I thought about having its colors based on the outfits of various characters from the Sun and Moon series. The first alt could have white and blue stripes, based on the default shirt worn by the male.
Okay, honestly, I think I still like this idea. Because I feel like most people would probably default to, like, make it, like, different Pikachu, like, different Pokemon costumes instead of just Pikachu. Still not super... Like, I love the fan art of those. Those are just always so fun to look at. But the whole point of Mimikyu is that it's copying Pikachu. So I feel like making it things that aren't Pikachu kind of defeats the purpose of the Pokemon. So I do still like the idea that its costume just, like, has different, like, patterns on it that could represent characters, like other characters and such.
Character in Sun and Moon. The second could be paired with light pink and yellow flower shapes with a little
These
bow on
awful
top,
editing.
in
Oh my
reference to the
goodness.
shirt worn by the female character of Sun and Moon. A basic light blue color with white stripes on the edges, and a little orange string tie underneath the head's chin, based on the shirt worn by the male character of Ultra Sun Ultra Moon.
Could I not have found a better render?
An orange color with hibiscus flowers, with its base rounded like a flower, based on the shirt worn by the female character in Ultra Sun Ultra Moon. A light green color with a large orange flower shape and white circular lines, based on the shirt worn by Samson Oak, Professor Oak's...
Dominance asserted. How's Maris doing? It's... I still like these ideas. I just wish that I was better at like editing back then and doing recolors back then. I just wish I was better at them.
A black and navy blue patchwork color with a gold bracelet on the left ear, based on the outfit worn by the Ghost Trials captain Ace Rolla, used in reference to Mimikyu's ghost type and because Mimikyu is the totem Pokemon of her trial. And finally, a pure white color with green and pink splotches on it, based on the shirt worn by the Fairy Type Trials captain Nina, used in reference to Mimikyu's fairy typing. I was tempted to use the shiny color, but it's a little dull.
I mean, it is. It's just monochrome. Okay, only one I change is probably this one. Because as much as I like Mina, these two colors are a little too similar. So actually, I think ironically, I'd probably replace this with the shiny color, just because like a monochrome gray color actually would be good for this color spectrum. So there you go. Pikachu's color palette? I mean, that's just a brighter yellow. I don't think we need that.
So, I opted not to. For Mimikyu's stage entrance, just like almost all other Pokemon in Smash, it would be released from a Pokeball thrown at the stage. But just to make it a little more interesting, let's say it's released from a different type of ball, like a Dusk Ball or a Luxury Ball.
Yeah, that's fine.
For its taunts, the first would have it glow a creepy aura with its eyes glowing. Its second taunt would have it look around with the Pikachu head. And
that is a little lame. I would probably change it to something else. That's a little basic.
Its third taunt would have its Pikachu head droop over, and it would push it back into place. This taunt would change if its disguise was broken. Mimikyu would attempt to push its head back up, it won't work, and it would make sad sounds, in reference to one of its Pokedex entries where it gets sad whenever the disguise breaks.
That's still a good taunt. I like that taunt.
Aww. And finally, the victory poses. Its first would have it jump up and down excited, like it does when it's excited in Pokemon Refresh.
That's fine.
Its second would have it walking away from the screen, and as the camera gets close, it quickly turns around with its glowing eyes and hisses, which is where the screen and announcer would splash its name. Then it would just walk off screen. And for its final pose, the screen would start in a pure darkness. You'd see Mimikyu's glowing eyes before the camera screen just drops to the ground, and the end shot shows Mimikyu's empty disguise just laying on the ground. Whenever Mimikyu wins, there's a chance he will murder you all.
That's still a good. That's still a good
And
one.
that does it for Mimikyu. Hopefully this video gives you folks an idea that Mimikyu
I still like that. Okay, the victory poses I think are fine. Those are all pretty good still.
is just as credible of a Smash fighter as Decidueye or Incineroar. It's a shame it's already...
Alright. So some minor... So Mimikyu actually wasn't as bad. Some minor changes to the basic attacks. It's the specials that mostly needed to get mixed around a little bit. And then, like, some reworking to the disguise gimmick. But yeah, so I think Mimikyu overall still is okay-ish. Definitely just needs some tweaks. Like, it wasn't as bad as Jibanyan was. Alright. How would Taunt 2 work if the disguise is broken? Yeah, that's another good point, actually, really. So, another good reason to change Taunt 2. Mimikyu should lose some health when the disguise is broken, like how disguise works in Sword and Shield, but that's just me. Well, that was how... Well, I don't think Sword and Shield was even out when I made this moveset. And even then, I don't think that's necessary, because Mimikyu already still takes damage naturally while its disguise is up. Because the point of disguise overall in the original games was that you're not supposed to take any damage until it's broken. Then in Sword Shield onward, you take a little bit of damage, like it's a substitute. But because for this specific gimmick, you're already taking damage. It's just half of it's being absorbed into the disguise itself. I don't think it taking more damage when the disguise breaks is needed. That's a little unnecessary. Okay. Let's see. How are we doing on time? Oh, wow. We actually might be able to get through all 4 characters that I was hoping to get through today. Sick. All right. Let's go ahead and move on then. Oh, what's that? Instead of the last all just being a shiny colors, how about being the actual dead one from the anime? Nah, I don't think that's needed. All right. Let's move on then.
Waluigi, infamous for having some of the highest amount of fan requests to be a fighter in Smash, but will forever be relegated to a spot as an assist trophy. Even Sakurai himself seems adamant about keeping this man out of the roster, purposefully jabbing at the purple poser at any chance.
And Waluigi being the de facto example for when he showed off how assist trophies can now be attacked and KO'd.
As you can get. I don't care for Waluigi much myself.
Still really don't.
But I still recognize his potential, and who knows, maybe someday he'll get his chance. But I will say, please, don't harass Sakurai over his current exclusion. Honestly, to anyone who feels the need to throw negativity towards Sakurai over Waluigi, you really need to get over yourselves.
In reality, this still does apply, honestly, but if we're real here, there's probably people that do this for way more characters than just Waluigi. I'm sure Waluigi is a character that people will harass Sakurai over, but if we're real, I'm sure anyone will harass Sakurai over any character. So this doesn't just apply to Waluigi fans. This applies to everybody who does this.
While I can't say I know why Sakurai hasn't included him yet, it's still his choice to do so, and you need to respect that, whether you like it or not. Anyway, ranting aside, on to Waluigi himself for the whole -3 people who don't know who he is. Waluigi was created not only to be a rival to the younger
What is this render?
Green Mario Bro Luigi, as a direct comparison to Mario's rivalry with Wario, but also to be a partner in crime for Wario as well.
I did find out recently, though, apparently, another actually big reason why the main reason actually why Waluigi was created in the original Mario Tennis, I found out recently, was, the creators of Mario Tennis, they wanted to have a character that would annoy the players so much that it gave them incentive to want to just win and just beat them as hard as they could. So Waluigi was made to be annoying from the start, was made to be hated from the start.
It worked well, since in Waluigi's debut game, Mario Tennis for the Nintendo 64, everyone in that game had a doubles partner except for Wario. So they ended up killing 2 birds with 1 stone by including Waluigi.
That's like, could you imagine if... Because she did exist at the time. Could you imagine if they just went and made Wario's doubles partner like Captain Syrup or something? Even though I think they were still enemies at that time, but whatever.
Waluigi himself is sly, sneaky, and overall mischievous. He's hot-tempered and enjoys seeing other people have a rotten time. As such, that type of personality would lead to a rather interesting character for Smash for sure. His tall, lanky body type would lead to him being a below-average to average weight class for the most part. He'd definitely be quick and have some erratic and strong-hitting moves, but a lot of his moveset would probably leave him open for punishment. Something else to keep in mind for Waluigi's moveset, since his only appearances include spin-off titles like Mario Party or the Mario Sports games, that's where his moveset should be most derived from. Small confession, a lot of those moveset act...
Wah, Peach is just Daisy? I mean, if you flip the P upside down, what does it make? A lowercase d.
She already had in mind for Daisy if she were playable in her own right, but since she was announced as an echo for Peach, I went ahead and moved the set to Waluigi.
And that probably was a bit of a downfall for a good chunk of the attacks here for Waluigi. Because it definitely does feel more generic spin-off-y than it does actual Waluigi, but we'll look into that as we go.
Don't get me wrong though, I'm still ecstatic for Daisy being playable at all, as I'm sure a couple of you may already know. A brand new... Daisy! Yes! Anyways, Waluigi would have 2 jumps, and he would be able to both wall jump and crawl. Waluigi would have a 3-hit jab, starting with a single punch that looks like how he punches in the Mario Party games, and then 2 underhook kicks, with the second kick being the stronger kick. He would step forward a little bit after the first kick as well. This jab would actually be a bit of a reference to how he looked in Mario Party 3 when he beat up Bowser. His dash attack...
A punch into 2 underhook kicks. I'd probably alter that a little bit. Let me see. Alter it a bit. So that first punch I think is fine, and the hook punch, one of those hook kicks I think is fine. I don't think it needs to be 2 hook kicks. So like, change one of the hook kicks.
Attack would be a leaping kick. Think of how a soccer player looks when they run to kick the ball for a goal. His side tilt...
Yeah, I think that's fine.
...would be a basic swing from his tennis racket, similar to how it looks when Waluigi makes a swing in the tennis games. His up tilt would have him swing a baseball bat overhead from front to back. A little unruly, but I'd see Waluigi doing something like that.
I'd change that one. This one I would change. That one's a little just weird.
His down tilt would be a low-to-the-ground slide kick, similar to how a soccer player would slide for the ball.
That's fine.
This would actually also be similar to Cloud's down tilt. Waluigi's side smash would be a baseball bat swing. It would look just like it does in the Mario baseball games, even down to the charging. and it would probably work near identical to how Ness's side smash works, even being able to reflect projectiles. It probably would have a lot more ending lag than Ness's though, but it would also be a lot farther reaching thanks to Waluigi's longer arms.
Okay, I think I would actually change the side tilt as well, thinking about it. Because I think maybe, like, the normal basic attacks probably don't need the sports equipment. And, like, save those for, like, the stronger attacks. So, like, keep, like, the tilt attacks as, like, normal attacks kind of deal. Like, the leaping kick and the slide kick, I think, are fine because they don't actually, they reference soccer, but they don't actually use, like, anything from soccer. To a non-weapon attack, and same for the up tilt. Change to a non-weapon attack.
Waluigi's up smash.
The side smash, though, I think is fine.
Smash could be a tennis serve swing, having him jump into the air and swing his tennis racket overhead from back to front, being able to cause a low diagonal angled spike in its sweet spots. There could also be a tennis ball that Waluigi actually hits that acts as a small, very weak projectile.
Okay, I'd get rid of that. I'd get rid of that tennis ball because I like the idea of the move, but I don't think the tennis ball is actually needed. Get rid of the tennis ball. So, like, since it's an overhead swing, this can be a case where, because I like the idea of this move where he swings it overhead, and normally it would just launch foes into the air since it is an overhead swing. But if you do like sweet spot it in a certain spot, it actually can spike you like it would spike a tennis ball.
It would do like 1% of damage, and at most would cause a small.
Yeah, I didn't own this game back then.
And his down smash would be a golf club swing that goes from back to front, with the sweet spot of the attack being on the club's head. This would be able to cover everywhere around Waluigi except for directly above him. Really? All of
That's a fine one too. That's okay.
Waluigi smash attacks are at their best when looking straight at the opponent, and are more mediocre while the opponent is behind Waluigi. You wouldn't be facing away from a ball in any of these sports, would you? That said, for his aerials, I need to move away from the sports, since there really aren't too many air sports that Waluigi has actually participated in.
Alright, these are... I actually remember in my original Mistakes and Issues video, I actually went over these as well, where a big point that I made during these aerials was that they should be like a bunch of dance moves, but I didn't actually make them any dance moves. Like, I didn't actually follow through with that properly. I believe I did come up with some ideas for that. I don't remember what they were, but we'll go over them as we go.
That I know of. So instead of sports, his aerials would have to involve another one of Waluigi's favorite pastimes, and that's dancing. For his neutral air, he would spin in numerous circles while in his signature leg up pose.
That's fine.
His forward air would have him do a horizontal spin.
That needs to change.
Drill kick. They'd work similar to Sonic's forward air, but his feet would be forward, not his head. Waluigi's back air.
That needs to change. That is not even a dance. I don't know what I was thinking there.
Would be a quick backwards kick with both feet, similar to Bowser's back air. His up air would be a front
such a dance.
to back headbutt. It would end with him doing his signature R pose, like he does in Mario Power Tennis.
That one's fine. That one's okay.
And a few other games as well. And finally, his down air would have him fly straight towards the ground with his whole body.
That needs to change. Waluigi's actually another character that really doesn't need a falling move.
Body out. Then, when he hits the ground, he'll do a random pose. This is a reference to his stage entrance in Mario Strikers Charged.
Yeah, so I changed 3 of the 5 aerials.
Waluigi would have a pretty good grab range with those long arms of his. His pummel would be a quick knee jab. His forward throw would have him spin the opponent and then throw them, like what Mario and Wario do for their back throws.
Do you guys think the knee jab is still appropriate for Waluigi? And I know you got them big... I'm going to think about that one. Possibly change the pummel. We'll see.
But Waluigi's would end off with a dance pose, and his back throw would be the exact same, but being thrown backwards, obviously, as well as doing a different pose.
I saw what I was going for with these. I would change them both.
His up throw would have Waluigi toss the opponent above himself, then hit them with a jump punch, like he does when he hits a dice block in Mario Party.
I'd change that one. I get the idea, but I would just go ahead and change it.
And his down throw would have him stomp his opponent into the ground, then smack them out with his racket, just like he does as an assist trophy. I'm sure you all love references to him being an assist trophy, right? Okay, on to the specials.
Cringe. But I would keep that one the same.
For Waluigi specials, we're gonna move away from the sports stuff and use his other spin-off appearances for these. The specials are supposed to be special and interesting, right? Well, then we can't use sports for that. Anyways, for his neutral special, I think it would be cool if Waluigi used a dice block from Mario Party. It would work as a type of temporary buffer for Waluigi, like Shulk's Minato Arts or Wii Fit Trainer's Deep Breathing. But in this case, it would be a completely random in how it changes Waluigi, all depending on the number that Waluigi hits on the dice block. If he were to roll a 1, 2, or 3, this would actually nerf Waluigi and make his run and attack speed slower, just like how when you roll these numbers in Mario Party, you don't really go anywhere, and people just get annoyed. The speed drop would actually vary on the numbers as well, with 1 slowing him down the most, but 3 only slowing him down a little bit. If he rolls between the numbers 4 and 9, however, this actually gives him a speed buff and running speed only, with 4 speeding him up only a little bit, and 9 speeding him up the most. And finally, if he were to roll that oh so glorious number 10, he gains a speed buff even faster than what 9 would give him, and on top of that, his attacks move faster and all deal more launching power, so you gotta hope for that 10. These buffs would last for about 20 seconds at a time before Waluigi automatically returns to normal. You also cannot end the effects manually. You have to stick it out for its whole use. You also can't use the dice block again until Waluigi is back to normal, just like how you need to wait for your next turn in order to hit another dice block in Mario Party. Waluigi would also be glowing a little bit, to signify that he's still under the dice block's effects. Needless to say, if you play Mario Party and are prone to getting a lot of low rolls, I suggest avoiding this special. Otherwise, Waluigi might also be leading you to losing some friends. For Waluigi...
Okay, let me think on this one. Looking back, so this was definitely a special that I originally had in mind for Daisy, which, you know, was one of the ones that I translated to Waluigi after Daisy got into Smash. I'm thinking, though, this special needs to be changed. And here's what I'm thinking. Because while it still can be fitting for someone like Daisy, I don't think it's as fitting for someone like Waluigi. Because when I think of Waluigi, I think of, you know, he's a dirty fighter. He likes to purposefully try to, like, handicap his opponents and such. So I want to keep the dice block. I'm just thinking maybe it should be used in a different way than this. Something that, in a way that I think befits Waluigi a little better. Also, thank you so much, Twilord. Could you be commissioned to help with a mod? I have an idea for Agumon. One's quite different from yours. I need a tactic for a playstyle calculation. Sorry, I don't think I can really help you there. I'm not really taking commissions right now. I apologize. I'm thinking maybe he should use the dice block in ways that actually, like, affect his opponents more than affect himself. So there's still the RNG element to it, like there is for Mario Party, but it's in a way more befitting of Waluigi. I'm just trying to think of, like, a good way for him to do it. That includes the dice block anyway. What if he threw it at them? Like, cause, you know what, actually, that's not really, that's actually something I don't really have on Waluigi. He doesn't really have a projectile. What if he threw the dice? Like, what if he throws it like a projectile, and, like, when it lands on the ground, or, like, if it hits an opponent, it, like, rolls a number, and depending on the number it rolls, it has different effects. So, think of, like, projectile Game & Watch hammer. Like Smash Flash 2? Smash Flash 2 does that? Really? That's literally what it does? Oh, never mind then. I don't want to do it anymore now. You guys shouldn't have told me that. It's a cool idea, but I don't want to do it anymore now. You shouldn't have told me that. Dang it. That you shouldn't have told me. If there's a cool idea that I think of that someone else already did, don't tell me, because that's going to make me not want to do it anymore. I don't want to feel like I'm stealing ideas. Well, I don't like it anymore now, because you told me. Too bad. Smash Flash 2 didn't do that? Alright, now I don't believe you. Now you're just trying to get me to do it. Use the cursed dice block specifically? I know it's a coincidence that I happened to think of the same idea, but you guys shouldn't have told me that. It would have made me feel better about myself not knowing that. Thinking that I thought of a cool, unique idea for a move that somebody else already did. You guys shouldn't have said anything. Alright, for now, let me just write this down. Change in some way to still include the dice block, but make it handicap opponents, like the dirty cheater Waluigi is. Alright, let's move on then.
The side special, it would work very similarly to Wario's bike or Bowser Jr.'s clown car side special, but it would have Waluigi hop into a cart from Mario Kart. Does kart driving count as a sport?
Yes.
I don't know, what even is a sport? The cart would appear out of nowhere, where you can drive straight forward, running into anybody who's in his way. You'd be able to jump out of the cart as it moves as well, just like Wario and his bike, so it would allow him another recovery option. If he does abandon his cart, it'll spin out, and eventually create a small, weak explosion that can damage opponents. For Waluigi's up special...
That's fine. That side special is still fine.
I think it'd be hilarious to see Waluigi with an item that's rather infamous in the Mario Party.
And no, I'm not changing it to swimming. I don't fully remember what I did for the up special here, but I'm not... Whatever it was, I'm not replacing it with swimming. That is still a stupid idea for an up special. I don't care what anybody thinks, I still hate it.
The games. And that's the warp block.
That's right.
You would quickly pull one out, and will teleport into any direction, just like Mewtwo and Palutena's up Bs. Except Waluigi's will work a little bit differently. Remember, this is the warp block. For those who don't know what that is, it does teleport the player to a different up Bs. Except Waluigi's will work a little bit differently. Remember, this is the warp block. For those who don't know what that is, it does teleport a player to a different spot on the map, but only at the expense of another player, having the user of the warp block actually switch places with a random player on the board. So in Smash, it could work similarly. Disappearing wouldn't have any hitbox on it, but reappearing will. If another player is hit by Waluigi reappearing after he teleports, the foe that's hit will be warped to the spot where Waluigi first disappeared from. I could see this being a very nasty, yet hilarious attack to have to deal with. Perfect for Waluigi.
Okay, I still like that up special. I'm not changing that one. That one's still fine to me.
And finally, for Waluigi's down B, it could be a trap that he could lay in the form of the fake item blocks from the Mario Kart.
That was a big thing that a lot of people kind of talked about originally with that up special, thinking that it's too broken. I really don't think it is, though. People have to remember, characters can recover. And, remember how teleports work in general. Like there would be ways to balance this to make it like not like if you think about something logically, when it comes to any attack in Smash Brothers, it doesn't matter what it is. Any attack can be scaled too high to be broken or underscaled to be, useless. If you scale the move properly, it'll be fine. I still stand by saying that the warp block idea is okay so long as it's balanced properly. It's not that big a deal.
Series. For those of you who don't know what the fake item block is, it's a sneaky type of bomb that almost resembles a normal item block from Mario Kart. Item blocks are supposed to be helpful and give items that can help change the outcome of a race. But fake item blocks just explode when hit, which stops a racer in their tracks. So in Smash, it can work similarly, but I added some innovations to make it more interesting. Waluigi could put a block down right in front of himself, or if he's airborne, throw it straight down, just like how Pac-Man throws his fire hydrant straight down while airborne. The fake item block would of course just sit there, and if anyone touches it, including Waluigi, it would create a small explosion with very deadly damage and launch power. The block would only explode in one of two ways, either if it's touched by an opponent, or if it remains idle for too long.
The up and down specials are a little too samey? How are they samey? A teleport and a bomb? What, just because they're both item blocks? Or a type of block? That's not samey.
Say that it'll explode by itself if it just sits there for about 20 to 25 seconds. However, it will not explode if hit by projectiles or other items. It'll just ignore those. I think it's okay to make it very dangerous, since it's also a very obvious trap, unlike Snake's C4 or Isabelle's Lloyd trap, which are much more subtle, and the foes can be tricked into walking into those if they're not careful or adept enough. But a random colorful block that just sits out in the open, yeah, that's easy to avoid. So more often than not, you'd have to be knocked in or thrown into the fake item block for it to actually be useful. Plus, the fact that Waluigi can also be hurt by it is just a bonus. However, let's say that the fake item block was not only a bomb, but it could also spawn items. If the block is hit, or is on screen for too long to the point where it just explodes by itself, it could have a random chance to drop a random Mario Kart related item. Half of the time it wouldn't drop anything, but the other half of the time it could. I'll put it in terms of percentages. Let's say that there would be an 18% chance for it to drop a banana.
Okay, we can just ignore all these because these would all have to be just changed overall to be to properly just balance whatever actually makes sense for the balancing of the game. It just drops a bunch of random Mario Kart like related items. So here's actually what I'm thinking for this. I do still like this idea, but I would actually make a change for it. So I'm going back to my idea that I guess wasn't actually so original about throwing the dice block, but because I even brought up the obvious downside about how when you put it down, no one's gonna want to walk into it. It seems like it like limits a spot, but it also limits a spot for Waluigi. So I think the best way to kind of help fix this move, because I do still like the premise. Let's see. So change or fixes. I'll actually put for notes. Nerf the damage. It doesn't need to be that strong. Make it so that Waluigi can throw the fake item block as a projectile. So he has a bomb projectile in this case, because it's like, when's the next Smash moveset? When my hand heals. My hand is still injured. But like this will give Waluigi a projectile, which I do think he needs in this moveset. Like he was lacking a proper neutral option. And since I don't want to feel like I'm stealing from the Smash Flash guys, which apparently you guys claim I was when I thought of the idea for throwing the dice block, I think throwing the fake item block as a bomb, I think, kind of makes up for that with giving him a projectile in that case. I do still need to think of like a way to kind of mess around with the actual dice block neutral special. So I'm going to go ahead and keep the fake item block as a down special. Because let's say here, make it so that he can throw so that while on the ground, he still throws it straight down if in the air. So like when he's on the ground, he'll throw it forward as a projectile. It's not really going to be a good aerial projectile, because if you use it in the air, he'll just throw it straight down, so you can potentially use it to get people underneath you. But beyond that, though, like it's still a projectile to give him at the very least. Is my hand getting better? I just started taking the new prescription medicine for it, so we'll see where that goes. Whenever I take the brace off, it's still like my thumb still has like limited movement, and if it moves too much, it still will go into huge pain. But I would like to think hopefully it's getting better. We'll see. I talked about it a little bit in yesterday's stream. Alright, so I think that's the major fix that I would make to the fake item block. I do still like the idea of like a random item coming out of it, though I think I would say that make the item spawns much rarer. So like much rarer than 50% of the time. Like almost as rare as like getting like a Mr. Saturn or a bomb from Peach and Daisy's down special, that kind of deal. Like it's just like a rare little random thing that can happen, but generally won't affect the game too much. Okay.
Banana peel. That was just to make it a little more interesting. It could very well also be used to drop any item, I guess, that's in Smash Bros. But I don't know. I guess it just depends. I much prefer the idea of it having a set chance of dropping only those specific items. Because of that, let's skip straight to his final smash. Waluigi's final smash would be his Mega Strike from Mario Strikers Charged.
So I actually do remember back in that original like mistakes and issues video, someone actually presented an idea for like a cinematic final smash for Waluigi that I ended up really liking. I don't know if I'd still go with it because it was like a pinball idea where like Waluigi traps the opponents inside of like a pinball machine that he's playing on the outside of it, like they all like shrink and are put into the pinball machine and are like, and Waluigi's trying to like attack them with like the pinball inside of it, but he ends up losing the game, so he gets mad and like just flips the pinball table, which is actually what does the damage. I still love that idea, but I'm not sure if I'd still actually use that because I don't think I'd use this either anymore. I'd probably give Waluigi a different idea. So I don't know what I'd currently give him for the final smash. So I'll put down for change and we'll come back to that later.
Waluigi. He jumped into the air and began raining down numerous fast-moving soccer balls down onto the stage, with the balls doing small damage but have high launching power. Each time a ball hits the ground, it explodes into an explosion of...
That's what Felicia Fan came up with? Was that Felicia Fan who originally gave that idea? When, like, during that old Mistakes and Issues video? I don't recall. I believe I credited whoever it was that brought that up in that Mistakes and Issues video, so I have to go back and look.
Thorns that slowly grow and do small...
Alright, so we can skip that.
And finally, the aesthetics of Waluigi, starting with his alternate colors. His first color would be based off of Luigi's colors, and
That's fine.
I know he'd hate it.
That's fine.
The second can give him green overalls and a red shirt and hat with white polka dots. This would be based off the Piranha Plant, which we've seen in the past has a lot of relations to Waluigi.
Including taking his spot in Smash. I'm not sure how I feel about that alt anymore. We'll see.
His third would give him a white shirt with a dull brown hat and overalls, and reference to Foreman Spike from the game.
Ooh, that color alt didn't age that well, considering that we now have a modern version of Foreman Spike with completely different colors.
I did this one because there seems to be some hint of similarities between Waluigi and Spike, but who knows. His fourth would give him yellow overalls with an orange shirt and hat, the colors of Princess Daisy, and reference to the hints that Waluigi seems to have a crush on Daisy. even though she has absolutely no interest in him. Thank goodness, too. Luigi X Daisy for the win!
Yeah.
His fifth would just
Would
have
probably
it in the ice flower colors. I know Waluigi's never really been seen with this flower, or even any power up at all to begin with, but I'd figured the colors would be a good contrast compared to the rest of the colors I've chosen anyway. In which case, his last two alts would be costumes, with the first one being his tennis outfit that we see him wearing in Mario Tennis Aces, and the second being his armored soccer gear which we see in Mario Strikers Charged. Waluigi's...
Okay, so all of those colored alts, aside from like the Luigi colors, I think I would replace with something else. I don't feel too great about them anymore. The tennis outfit and the Strikers outfit I think are still fine. My only problem with them is the fact that they're all still purple. So I probably will have to go back and like look at different alts for Waluigi. Where's the brown alt for Mario Tennis? That was a thing. I'll have to look around. But yeah, I don't feel too great about those alts anymore.
Stage intro would have him driving into the stage in his cart, but he would peel out and crash, causing him to fly out of the cart and land on his face. Fitting for the man who can't have anything go right in his life.
Yeah, that's fine.
For his first taunt, it would have Waluigi swing his arms in circles then do a pose. He's done this a few times, but it's most notable in Mario Toadstool Tour whenever he gets a birdie. His second taunt would have him slyly snickering while swiping his hands together, then yelling, "Loser!" He does this whenever he scores a goal in Mario Strikers Charge.
Love the idea of him yelling "loser" during the match. Would probably change the actual what he does. So keep the loser, the yell, but change the actual taunt. The first taunt I think it'd probably change as well. Honestly, that's kind of just whatever.
And his third taunt is another from Mario Strikers Charge, but it's by far the most important one. The ever-infamous Waluigi Crotch Taunt. Waluigi, yeah!
Which, unfortunately, I'm going to have to just go ahead and change on principle, because there's no way that would get it in the... I'm still shocked to this day that they even got that into those games. They wouldn't get away with that. They wouldn't be able to get away with that in Smash. So, taunts all need to be changed. Yeah, so those need to be changed.
And finally, for Waluigi's victory animations, his first one could have him doing his winning animation dance poses from when he gets an eagle or higher in Mario Golf World Tour, rose and all.
That one's fine. It doesn't necessarily have to be that exact same dance from that game, but the idea that he's dancing with the rose I think is okay.
His second can have him drive in on his cart while doing the victory animation he does whenever he gets first place in Mario Kart. And for...
I would change that. I like the idea behind it. Change what he does when he drives in. Like, just having him just do like... like, that's a little dull. So, I would change... I like the idea of him driving in on the cart, but I would have him do something like a little more like energetic or a lot more like visually appealing to look at when he does this. So
for his final victory pose, while not necessarily a direct reference to anything, it's still something that Waluigi would very much do, and that's having him pointing and laughing at his competition.
Yeah, that one I'd keep. That one I would keep. That's still very fitting for Waluigi.
Smug jerk. And that does it for the tall purple man himself. Sure.
Yeah, so Waluigi definitely needs a lot of, Yeah, so Waluigi definitely needs a lot of adjustments across the entire moveset, for sure. Still need to think of what I would do for the neutral special. I'm fine with the side and up specials. Down special, I thought of, like, the throwing the block, I think is fine. Overall, like, yeah, this one definitely needs some tweaks and adjustments, for sure. Did I say anything about Charles retiring from Mario? I talked about it in yesterday's stream. Oh, excuse me. Don't know where that came from. Alrighty. What time is it? Alright, let's say we technically only have 10 minutes until 2 hours, but let's go ahead and get through the next one. Alright, let's go ahead and do that. So last moveset that we're gonna go over for the day. Now, see, if I wanted to make this intro much more effective, I would have just skipped this text dialogue right here and would have just jumped straight from when she pokes her head out, does the thing where she, shakes her fist and then runs out. Yeah, I would have skipped that text dialogue to make it, a little more effective. Still love this song.
Indie creator WayForward star child Shantae, the half-genie hero. One of many characters who have such a high request rate to be a fighter, but as of now is in limbo. And I mean that quite literally, as we see her currently as a spirit in Ultimate.
Well, now she's no longer in limbo as of today because we see her as a spirit and as a Mii costume, so we know for sure now that she's not playable.
I personally still think that Shantae...
Was that fan art of Shantae? No. That was, I forget the name of the video. It was a game that she cameoed in, and I always really liked that art. That's why I used that. But it was art that was made of her in a game that she cameoed in, but I forgot the name of the art.
She has a good shot of being a fighter for one of the many up-and-coming DLC updates. So she may make it in, or she may not.
She may didn't.
For now, let's just get to Shantae herself. Shantae,
Blaster Master? Maybe. That sounds about right.
With her mother being a genie and her father being human, though we've never actually seen either parent as of now. She hails from the town of Scuttletown, where she plays the role as the town's...
Hails from the town of Scuttletown. Could have scripted that a little better.
Protector. On and off. Scuttletown's mayor is an idiot.
He is. What gave me the idea of rewatching my old streams? It's just something I've been thinking about doing for a while. And I figured this is also something easy to do that I figure that... I know you guys kind of wanted me to, look back at old movesets, because for a while you guys have been asking me, what would I change in old movesets and such, what would I go back to and whatever. So, since this is something that I can do that doesn't really involve a lot of use of my injured hand, I figured this is something, that physically easy for me to do, while also something, engaging that for me to be able to, kind of look back on and for you guys to watch.
Shantae herself is a professional dancer and a powerful magician, able to pull off various kinds of magic and even shapeshift through the means of spells that are incited through her dances. Shantae is considered tomboyish and even considers herself as a bad role model, what with her bad temper and fashion sense. Despite that, she's very caring to those she loves most, and even gave up her chance to be a full-fledged genie just so she wouldn't have to leave her friends and uncle behind. As a fighter for Smash, Shantae would very easily be a quick...
Think I'll make these into videos? I think what I'm more likely to do is probably just remake the moveset videos entirely. I don't know when I'll ever get around to that, but... Because that was something else I talked about as well during the stream yesterday, where something that's kind of been on the back of my mind is remaking the old Smash, moveset videos, and kind of, titling them as version 2, or, version, 3 and onward, depending on how often I remake a specific character's moveset video, depending on how much I want to change over time, I'll start applying, version titles to them. So, the original first versions would be version 1, and I'd probably just put, outdated, over the thumbnail, and then put, the proper thumbnail over the current version, while also showing, a little V2 or whatever next to it. So, I think that's probably where I'll go for that.
Moving fighter with a lot of mobility. She'd have 2 jumps, and would actually have access to all movement options, as we see her be able to do so in her games. When she wall jumps and wall clings, however, she would quickly transform into her monkey form, as she does need to be in this form while performing these actions. Performing. Because she's a dancer.
Cringe.
Anyways.
Cringe joke. Cringe jokes. Cringe jokes.
Shantae's jab should be obvious to anyone who's played even one of her games. It would be a single hit attack in the form of her hair whip attack. While it is only a one-hit jab, it's a jab that can be spammed, and would pretty much work like it does in her games.
Yeah.
Actually, I should mention that I am treating Shantae a little bit like Mega Man. Where Mega Man has his basic Buster attack for a lot of his attacks, Shantae will have her Hair Whip attack for a lot of her attacks. Her dash attack would be a quick lunging elbow attack, which is an attack we see her do in her first game on the Game Boy. It's an attack that can be used when she acquires the cuffs. Her side tilt would be another Hair Whip attack. It would have longer range than her jab, but it would not be as spammable. Her up tilt would be a backflip.
So it should be noted okay, so I'm actually I'm still fine with what I'm seeing so far. So the reason why the side tilt is also the Hair Whip is because it would allow her to be able to walk while using the Hair Whip. So just like she does in her game.
Yeah. This is another move we see her use in her first game after she receives the boots. And her down tilt would have longer range than her jab, but it would not be as spammable. Her up tilt would be a backflip kick. This is another move we see her use in her first game after she receives the boots. And her down...
Don't know why I never made notice of this. So for that move specifically, backflip while swinging her leg over her, I think that's fine as her up tilts, but she wouldn't do that thing where she like flies into the air. Heavy kick is... No. The whole point of like this kind of moveset is like she plays like she does in her game, where like her Hair Whip is like her main means of offense. So that, also she plays neutral with her hair, so she'll be able to stand still and walk while using her hair flip. But yeah, the up tilt I think is fine.
Down tilt would also be a Hair Whip, just this time while she's crouching.
That's fine.
Just like she does in her games. It's another attack that can be spammed, and it can even trip foes. Now for her smash attacks, I thought this could be where her transformations could be implemented. For all 3 smashes, she could do specific dances that she charges for the attack.
Doesn't Shantae have a gun? She did, until Risky took it back.
Then, when the attack is released, that's when she transforms to release a quick attack from her animal transformation, then quickly change back to her human form once the attack finishes. For Shantae's side smash, it can have her change into her elephant form, then charge straight forwards. This attack would hit hard, and Shantae would have super armor while she's the elephant, but it would have a lot of end lag since she needs to change back.
So I still like this idea that I did where... So, like, the idea is that while she's charging, she's doing her dance. Like, she's doing a specific dance. And then when you actually release the attack, she transforms into the animal and does the proper attack. So, I still like this idea. Let me just remind myself what the actual attacks were. So, the elephant being the side special... Or, the side smash, sorry, I think is still fine.
Her up smash would have her change into her spider form, and she would shoot a web ball straight upwards into the air that dissipates as it reaches its peak. This attack would actually work similar to Snake's up smash, where it actually goes higher the longer the attack is charged.
Not sure how I still feel about this attack. I may have to go back to this one. So let me just type right for this one, possible change. Or possible different transformation.
Again, it would have a bit of end lag. And her down smash would have her turned into her crab form, where she would snap with both claws on both sides of herself 3 times, with the 3rd hit being the launching hit.
That move is fine, because I like the idea of like her transforming into a smaller creature to attack lower to the ground with like these like pew 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 kind of things. So yeah, so the elephant and the crab I think are fine. The spider I might change. I'm not too sure about the spider right now.
His neutral air and forward air would actually be the exact same, both in the form of her Hair Whip attack, allowing her to move and attack just like she does in her games. These attacks can also be spammed.
Okay. The neutral air I think is fine as the Hair Whip, because again, kind of pulling from like the Mega Man idea. I think the forward air can be different. So I'll change the forward air.
Back air is going to have to be your first improvised attack, and it would be a quick twirling roundabout kick. Similar to Ryu's back air, but it would look a little flashier. Her up air would be a multi-spin attack with her arms out and her hair twirling above. This is actually another attack she could learn in her first game, but she required the tiara to use it. It was also an attack that could only be used after she performed the elbow charge, but we'll just let her use it normally for Smash. And for her down air, I'm actually torn between 2 ideas.
That's right, I did have 2 ideas for this one. Okay, let's see which ones I like more, or if I would not do either. Let's say.
The first idea could be an angled downward spinning drill kick, which is the final basic attack she learns in their first game after acquiring the sash. The other idea that I have could have her quickly transform into her elephant form, then fly straight down, slamming into the ground and dealing big damage to anybody she hits. It could also be a spiking attack, and it would have super armor as the elephant, just like for her forward smash attack. But this attack would have very slow startup since she needs to transform, and a lot of end lag since she needs to change back after landing. The drill kick is simpler, but the elephant sounds more interesting. I don't know, either would be cool.
Honestly, I think I prefer the drill kick. Yeah, I think I'll just make it the drill kick. Stick with only the spinning drill kick. Now the question is, though, I like the drill kick. Would I have it be a falling attack, or would it just be the same animation without the falling? Does she need a falling attack? Yeah, actually, I think... for this kind of moveset, a falling attack actually could work well for Shantae. So, yeah, so I'll just stick with the drill kick here. Shantae would have an average grab range using both of her arms. Her pummel would be a knee jab. For her forward throw, it would have Shantae spin the opponent like how you twirl a dance partner. Then she would hip check them forward. Her back throw would have her trade places with the foe while they both spin, then she kicks them away. Her up... Why did I draw a push instead of a kick? What do I have written down here? Kick. Yeah, why did I draw a push? I even have written in my notes that she kicks them. I don't know why I had it push. Weird.
Throw could just have Shantae kick the opponent upwards, and then her down throw would have Shantae dance on top of her foe, and then end it with a strong stomp.
Talk about breakdancing.
Hey, Brian. I think the only one I'd probably change is maybe the up throw. So, because to match how she's dancing properly with all these different moves. So I'll have to think of something different for that up throw. What if she used her hair to grab opponents like a lasso? That seems forced. That doesn't seem like a good idea.
So I'm actually going to be doing things a bit out of order today, and I'm going to be talking about Shantae's gimmick before I talk about her specials, as I really won't be able to talk about her specials without bringing up the gimmick first. As I stated at the beginning, despite only being half genie, she's still a very powerful magician, being able to do a wide variety of magic spells. But just like almost every other video game that has your character use magic, she does have a magic bar that will deplete whenever she uses a spell. So I think for Smash, Shantae could have a magic meter as well, one that hovers above her character icon at the bottom of the screen. Having magic in the meter will change how certain moves, or even how Shantae performs as a whole. Using any of Shantae's special attacks will deplete the meter, and it will vary depending on which attack is used. Her specials still can be used even if her meter is empty or if you don't have enough magic for the move, but they'll just be much weaker is all. The meter will charge by itself. It will recharge about 5% of its magic a second. If the meter is fully charged, all of her hair whip based attacks will do slightly more damage than normal and move slightly faster.
That I would get rid of. Get rid of damage buff when at full. She doesn't need that.
And that's the basic premise of her magic meter. Now I'll explain the magic attack she can use that will utilize the magic meter.
Honestly, the gimmick should be removed. I'm teetering on that, but because it's directly connected to the specials, let me look at the specials first before I make that decision.
For Shantae's neutral special attack, she could use her Mirror magic spell. Mirror is a spell that reflects projectiles in our games, so it could work exactly the same way for Smash. If the button is held down, the mirror will stay out. All projectiles will be reflected by the mirror, and Shantae will take reduced knockback from any non-projectile based attacks. If you do keep the shield out, it will drain 20% of the magic meter each second it's active. So if you use the mirror attack when Shantae has no magic, it can no longer remain out while the button is held down, but instead the shield will only appear for a split second. Just enough time to reflect your projectile with proper timing, but that's it. For Shantae's side special, it could be her fireball attack.
Okay. Let me watch all of the specials first, and then I'll give my thoughts then.
She'd shoot a fast-moving, long-range fireball that travels straight forward horizontally. Shooting a fireball would consume 10% of the magic meter, but if Shantae has less than 10% of magic in the meter, the fireball would only travel a very short distance, and it would be very slow and pathetic. Shantae's up special could have her transform into her harpy form. It would be almost similar to Villager's up special in terms of mobility and control. She can move freely left and right, and she'd gain height by pressing the B button again to have her flap her wings. She would remain in harpy form for up to 5 seconds, or until she flaps her wings 10 times, whichever happens first. Shantae would actually be able to attack while in harpy form with her talons. If you press the A button while the harpy, she would do a quick talon swipe that covers her lower front, so her feet would swipe from directly in front to directly below. However, using the claw swipe consumes 25% of the magic meter, and if you try using it again when Shantae doesn't have enough magic, she'll attack, but then immediately transform back to normal and go into freefall. And for Shantae's down special, it would work just like how Cloud's down special works. When the magic meter is not full, Shantae will just dance in place, and this will make the meter charge much faster. Let's say that it'll charge about 10% of the meter per second. If you use the down special when the magic meter is full, however, instead of dancing, Shantae would use her Pike Ball spell. 3 Pike Balls would circle Shantae very quickly, and do small flinching damage to any opponent that gets hit by them. They would also neutralize projectiles. The Pike Balls, however, could not be turned off. They stay out until they drain the magic meter to empty, and they drain 10% of magic a second. All basic attacks can still be used while the Pike Balls are out, but her neutral, side, and down specials cannot be used while the Pike Balls are active. She can still use her up special to transform into the Harpy, but she won't be able to use her talon attack.
Okay. So here's what I'm thinking. Things are gonna have to get moved around. I want to keep the magic meter. I do want to keep the magic meter to a degree here, but there are things that are gonna have to get kind of moved around and such. I think the Pike Ball can go. I don't think we need the Pike Ball. I would move the mirror to her Pike Ball. Same idea, where down special is her dancing to fill the meter, but have that be the mirror. Because the mirror is already kind of a strong spell. Oops. It's already a pretty strong spell as a means of being able to reflect everything. That's pretty good. So change from Pike Ball to mirror. I would move the Fireball to her neutral special. Change to neutral special. And then change the mirror. Change... and then make the side special something else. So mirror change to down special. The Harpy. So one idea I did just come up with. So in regards to the magic meter, I get what I was going for when the meter is full, Shantae gets a little stronger. I don't think she should get a damage buff, but here's a different idea. When the meter is full, her smash attacks charge faster, but using a smash attack with a full meter does consume a portion of it. So because she needs to use magic to transform, having full magic would only make sense that having access magic like that would make it much easier for her to be able to transform. So I think that'd be an interesting way to do that, but of course it'll cost a little bit of magic if you do use it like that. So that's what I'm thinking. As for the Harpy, let's do this. I want to keep it as the Harpy because the Harpy is such an iconic flying transformation for her. Let's say fix. Turn it into a flying dash attack. So So it's no longer like a transformation where you transform and then control it as like a different move, as like a moveset. It's now she transforms and then just dashes, like she flies. But let's say this as well. If she has magic, you can press the special button again during the dash to have her do some kind of other attack. I don't know, but something else to add to that. During the up special. I'll have to think more about it, but like that's kind of where my brain's going right now for this one. So like, yeah, so she'll turn it into a much simpler used up special. And let's also say this: if used at full magic, the up special uses less frames, so it moves faster because of the excess magic. If you, in that regard. Her personality would make her more of an energetic movement-based character, but with the mirror and pike ball, plus having to recharge meter, she becomes a defensive slow character who stands still a lot. Not necessarily, like, because the magic meter, it was already established, the magic meter charges by itself naturally. And it's like, just having the option to be, remember, she's still a dancer. Like, she got to dance. Like, I would say dancing itself is pretty energetic. That's just me, though. That's just how I see things. So, the specials overall around the magic meter definitely does need, a lot of adjustments for sure. But I think this currently is a step into the right direction here. All right, so this is the start. So yeah, so change Fireball to neutral special, replace Pike Ball with the mirror. So get rid of I'm getting rid of the Pike Ball entirely. So I got to think of a brand new side special for her, and then change how the Harpy functions, and then get rid of her getting stronger when at full magic, but change it so that she can charge her smash attacks faster while at full magic. So I'll have to later on look at just look at Shantae's other spells, like some of the common spells that she's used across all the games, and try to figure out from there what I would do. And then potentially also I'll go over the rest of that here in a bit.
On specials cannot be used while the Pike Balls are active. She can still use her up special to transform into the Harpy, but she won't be able to use her talent attack.
I don't know why I felt the need to show this entire fight instead of just talking about it during the fight. Like, I'm sure most people were super confused as to why I'm showing this for the final smash, and so I explained it.
I think it would be hilarious if Shantae's final smash could have her arch enemy, Risky Boots, show up out of nowhere and start attacking. The area below the lowest point of the stage would start flooding with rushing water, kinda like when the Leviathan is summoned on the Midgar stage, or the basic water hazard on the Jungle Jape stage. And of course, anyone who gets caught in the water will be washed away. But that's not all, of course. Risky's pirate ship would appear in the background of the stage and begin bombarding the entire stage with cannon fire. Shantae herself would not be active during this final smash. In fact, she would actually go to the background and deal with Risky herself, leaving Shantae to defeat Risky and making her retreat, which is when the final smash would end. So, quite humorously, Shantae's strongest attack would end of her own accord because she's trying to save everyone from Risky Boots.
Okay. I still think conceptually this is a funny idea. It probably wouldn't hurt to think of a different final smash for her, though. The question is, what would I do? first thing that immediately comes to mind are like those fusion transformations that she gets in Seven Sirens, but were those even really like good attacks? I think weren't those mostly just like things you did to like progress? Like they weren't really like they weren't actually like attacks and whatnot. That's something I'll have to like that's something I'll have to look into a little more. So I'm gonna just for this one I'm just gonna write potentially change. So I'll think about this one, but this one probably could go for a change.
Which is when the final smash would end. So, quite humorously, Shantae's strongest attack would end of her own accord because she's trying to save everyone from risky boots.
Alright, let's see her colors.
For Shantae's colors, I actually didn't need to work very hard on this one, because WayForward already made costumes for us. Back when the Smash 4 fighter bout was going
That's right, I forgot about that.
Really pushed for everyone to vote for Shantae, and they even made some alts for her for if she got in. 2 of them here are a little too samey though, so I added some other ones instead of those. But that aside, we have the blue alt, which I don't think is a direct reference to anything, it's just there to have a blue color. But it was later made as an option for backers of Half Genie heroes to use in the game, so there's that. There's this alt with red hair, white skin, and a purple outfit, which are the colors of Nega Shantae, which is a state that Shantae takes when her magic and mind get corrupted by evil magic. This green hair and skin alt with a purple top and black shorts, as a reference to the character Roddy Tops, a zombie who was friends with Shantae. This alt with Shantae in her jammies. Yep, just her jammies. And an alt that has Shantae wear her personal pirate gear, an outfit she wore on occasion in Shantae and the Pirate's Curse.
Is this enough of an alt though? Okay, a part of it still feels a little samey. Let me just put that down just in case. Kinda samey, but we'll think about that one.
As for the other alts, there's actually quite a bit to do for Shantae to make this easy. She could wear her beach outfit, she has a ninja outfit, and she could even wear the outfit where she dons the uniform of...
I don't think we can get it with the beach outfit is kinda pushing it, honestly. This one's kinda pushing it. It's like the ninja and the paddy wagon might be fine.
Paddy wagon from the game Mighty.
Though my problem with the ninja is that the colors for this one are a little too close to the Roddy Tops, so it's either this or the Roddy Tops one. I guess that just depends. This or Roddy. Can't keep both. Too much green. And then even the paddy wagon one's like a lot of blue still. I'd probably nix the paddy wagon one, honestly.
Switch Force, another WayForward title. For Shantae's stage entrance, it could have Shantae fly in with her best friend Sky on top of Wrench, Sky's feathered companion.
That's
Wrench
fine.
could fly in from the background, and Shantae would jump off as Wrench flies past the stage into the foreground. This is a clear reference to how Shantae would move.
She has different ninja outfits? Then again, Zero Suit Samus has a bikini outfit? No, it does not. Zero Suit Samus has... I don't know what that specific kind of outfit is called. It's something that you would see like women wear at like a gym, but that is not a bikini. Like, this is a bikini. Like, what Zero Suit Samus wears as alts are not bikinis. Like, this is pushing it.
From level to level in Shantae Half Genie Hero. For taunts, Shantae's first could have her hold up a magic lamp above her head while doing a little jig, a reference to what she does in Shantae and the Pirate's Curse whenever she needs to collect dark magic. Her second can just have her yell, "Get ready to walk the plank, you landlubber," or something along those lines in a very dorky or cringy way, in reference to how she tries to get into the whole pirate motif in Pirate's Curse, but Risky just kept knocking her for it.
This is cute, but I'd probably change this one.
And her final taunt can just have her turn into a blobfish and just flop around. Yes, a blobfish. Because it's hilarious.
It is still hilarious, honestly. I'm keeping that one.
And you can't convince me otherwise.
You still can't convince me otherwise. Dang, to this day, I still agree with my past self there, dang.
And finally, for Shantae's winning animations. One could have Shantae do a quick dance and then end off in her end stage pose that we see her do in Shantae Half Genie Hero. Her second can have her floating while spinning in circles, then land and end on a pose, in reference to her victory animation and
Gotta love this terrible, keying I tried doing here. Oof.
her first Shantae game on the Game Boy Color. And her final pose can have her doing another kind of dance, then ending off in a more majestic kind of pose. And that...
Okay, those victory animations are fine. Alright. So, for the most part, not a terrible amount of changes for Shantae. I may change what she transforms into for the up smash. I want to change her forward air outright, her up throw outright, completely fix around her specials aside from the up special, though the up special would also be changed where the heartbeat is something different. Fix the magic meter a little bit. I do want to still keep the magic meter. I think it's still fine. Probably change the final smash, change some of the alts, and then change that one taunt. And I think that's all I would do for Shantae. I think everything else actually is fine. Alright. Cool. What, you okay? Watch stuff did you miss? We started with Jibanyan. Once I post the VOD, you'll be able to watch that. You'll be able to watch that on your own time. Alright, so I think that'll do it then. Yeah, that's a pretty good start. So what did you guys think about me doing this? Just rewatching my old cringy videos and talking about what I would do differently for them. So remake, I don't mind the idea at some point of remaking my old movesets and making new versions of them and such. Yeah, with my new current skills. Though first, gotta let this heal. Second, once this does heal, I still need to do my 2 personal pick episodes that I promised you guys back in December. Dang it! Those are long overdue. So, let me focus on getting the brand new movesets out first before I focus on fixing the old ones. That's why I think for the time being these streams would be a fun little hold off, and then eventually, when I get the time, then I'll start remaking some of the older movesets. So we'll see where that goes. So December Musashi, was Musashi really October? Nah, I don't believe you. You're lying to me. Was it really? Dang. Yeah, it has been a while, hasn't it? Oof. Yeah, so let's hope that this heals as fast as possible, guys. Alright, so I think that is where I'm going to go ahead and end things off. I'm glad you guys enjoyed this. I certainly enjoyed doing this. It always feels nice being able to look back at old stuff with a much fresher outlook on things and just think about what I would do differently and get me reinterested in these characters and how other possibilities for how they could work in Smash. Because I am still a believer that there are multiple possibilities for all characters. There shouldn't just be one set way for characters to work in Smash. There should be I'd say a bubble, an outlier, but not one set way. That's why I always encourage you guys to make your own movesets, and why I love looking at movesets, from other people. Again, so long as they're characters that I've already made movesets for, because you saw how I reacted with the Waluigi, dice thing. I don't like feeling like I steal ideas, so... Even if I think of the idea myself, if I find out somebody else did it, it makes me feel like I'm taking their idea, That's why I don't like being told these things, people! So, bad habit of mine, but whatever. Alright, so I really enjoy doing this. So, next character is Klonoa. So... I don't mind doing this again tomorrow. This was a lot of fun. I'm thinking, though, if I do this tomorrow, because Klonoa is the next character, I gotta get Brian in on this. Because Klonoa is Brian's moveset. So, I'm not as familiar with Klonoa, because I kind of only was able to work off of what Brian told me. So, I gotta get Brian in on the next episode so he can go over Klonoa with me. So, that'll be for potentially tomorrow. I'm going to shoot for tomorrow. If not tomorrow, then next week for sure. But I'm shooting for tomorrow, guys. I really enjoy doing this. Something fun for us to do for a while I work on the adventure mode thing. because I'm still working on I'm still working on trying to get more adventure mode worlds built so I can do another live stream from that for you guys. But yeah, so that's where I'm gonna go ahead and call this. So next moveset we're gonna look over is Klonoa, as well as if we do at least 4 an episode, like 3 or 4 an episode. Yeah, so next will be Klonoa, and then Pokemon Trainer Johto. Oh, and then Frisk is gonna be fun, and then Shadow after that. Because so yeah. All right, so that's where I end it. Before I keep rambling on, because I'm terrible at ending videos. I'll talk to you all later, guys.